Hello, my name is Kaceli. The following is a comprehensive tutorial on using Nearpod. Nearpod is an outstanding cloud platform where teachers can create and deliver interactive lessons. Nearpod is an indispensable tool for any teachers. And in this tutorial, we're going to learn the ins and outs of using it. So let's get started. So from here, the teachers can sign up for a free account. You can click here on sign up for free, and then you can activate an account using your Google or a Microsoft account or any of these other options, including the option to create an account with an email. So it's select here the Google account, enter your Google credentials, and sign into the system. Now, when it comes to pricing, the free version for educators includes up to 100 megabytes of storage, lessons where up to 40 students can join. Now, once you're signed in, I'll first go through the interface so that you get familiar with what you'll be working with here. On the left-hand panel here, you have My Lessons. In the center here, Getting Started with Nearpod. These are some of the various tutorials from Nearpod to get you started. Then further down here, we have the option to create new lessons or to explore the Nearpod library. One of the great features of Nearpod is that you can utilize an existing library that is shared by Nearpod or your school district or other fellow teachers. Further down, the various lessons that are under your account that you have created or utilized. Now on the left-hand side here, you also have the option for My Profile. Here on the top right-hand side, there are also additional options, the lesson setup, and again, the My Profile. On the left, and we'll cover this later as well, we have the Reports module. And here is where you'll be able to view the various reports for the lessons that you have hosted or the lessons that the students have completed. Under the school library, this is lessons that have been shared by your school district or members of your own school. Further down here, we have the option for Nearpod Library. And this is where Nearpod shines. Next, here in the bottom, we have the teacher resources, webinars or tutorials, administrative resources, and communities related to training on Nearpod. Then on the top, you can search for your lessons or any of the content that exists in the Nearpod library. So we search here for AI, and these are all the various lessons that pertain, that have something related to artificial intelligence. Then on the right-hand side, this is where we can create a lesson, a video, or an activity. And there is also, with a paid version, you can integrate also Google Slides as part of Nearpod lessons. From the quick launch, this is where you can quickly launch an open-ended question, a collaborative board, or a timer for the students. And we'll get into these features. These are the different components of the interface. Also, remember, there's also this. If you have to join a lesson that somebody else is hosting, here you can enter that particular code and you'll join a particular lesson that is being presented by another teacher. As you get started using Nearpod, one of the first things I would suggest that you do is customize the lesson settings. Go here under your profile on the top right, and then click on Lesson Settings. Make sure that the following settings are checked. Under Basic Student Settings, turn on the autofill student names. This will require the students to use their Google or Office 365 credentials, and it'll autofill their name as part of the lesson reports. Next one is under Accessibility Settings, turn on the Immersive Reader. And then under Student-Paced Settings, require student responses and prevent skipping. So let's say you give the students a lesson that they have to complete offline at home. Students cannot proceed to the end of the video unless they answer questions along the way as part of the lesson. As I mentioned earlier in this, one of the great features of Nearpod is the collection of pre-designed lessons that are part of the Nearpod library that you can navigate and reuse for your courses. To utilize this feature, we click here on Nearpod Library, and we have these various tabs on the top. So we have the featured lessons. We can go and navigate by grade level, let's say 4th grade. And then from here, we can preview the lesson to make it your own. If we go back here to the Nearpod Library, we have various subjects: math, social studies, science, music, art, and so on. So basically, we are categorizing all these lesson collections by the subject. Then under content types, we can navigate only videos, lessons, or activities. So the content could be just videos or activities or all lessons. Then we can also sort by publisher. Here's from BBC or various publishers. Access to the premium content will depend on the subscription level that you have through your school or your personal account. The reason why I'm focusing quite a bit on the Nearpod library here is because with Nearpod, one of the unique features is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Even though it is pretty easy to design those lessons, you don't really need to create them from scratch. You can pick one that works for your school and modify it. As you're using the Nearpod library, one of the other features to consider is also here on the top right-hand side under Filter by Standards. And this will give you the particular standards. You're filtering for lessons that meet a particular standard, whether it's state standards or national academic standards. And then you pick here the type of subject and then also the class level, and it'll display all of those lessons that meet those particular standards. For example, for the NCSS Social Studies, there are 327 that meet those standards. Obviously, you can also do by state. For example, the state of Pennsylvania, we select mathematics, and then 6th grade mathematics. Notice these are lessons that meet that Pennsylvania standard. In my opinion, the thing that makes Nearpod so great is, besides the Nearpod library and the pre-designed lessons, is that Nearpod incorporates a variety of activities, whether it is multimedia content, whether it is video instruction, but it incorporates the polls, the discussions, the questions, essay questions, quizzes, and a variety of other learning activities along the way that make it very effective. And here is just a quick preview of what it could look like as part of a lesson that you can design. So this is one of the lessons. So basically, we are teaching here about AI, and then the student can respond whether they have heard. So we are launching a quick poll first for the students and the activity to list 3 things that they have learned or heard about AI, and you as a teacher can set a timer for those responses. And then once they submit the responses, you can see them in real time as they are being submitted by each student. Then you can have slides from a presentation and you go about teaching your lesson. Now, in each of the videos, you can also have quizzes along the ways. Here where you have these dots, these are actually questions. And then you can see the student responses. So as students are viewing this instruction on their computers, they can submit those answers, and as a teacher, you'll be able to review it. Here is a link to an article that the students are viewing in this case, 3-dimensional objects, then science items as well. .360 views, quizzes embedded as part of it, drawing, where students can utilize the drawing tools to provide feedback, whether they want to type it or simply draw. Memory test. So this is just to give you a quick idea as to what a lesson would look like. And like I said earlier, this is where the Nearpod platform is very powerful and very usable because it integrates all of these variety of tools as part of a lesson design. Even though it's so easy to integrate those tools, you as a teacher then can also integrate a variety of pre-designed lessons. So one of the great features of Nearpod is the reuse of lessons. Instead of reinventing the wheel, you can just get an existing lesson and then customize it for your own personal use. So let's say we wanted to do a lesson, to create a lesson on artificial intelligence in education. You can search for one of the existing lessons and go under the Nearpod library here, and then search by grade, by subject, by content, or publisher, and so on. The other option is that you can actually search from the top bar and simply type artificial intelligence, and notice that there will be a variety of lessons, including the grade level as right below the title for that particular lesson. So you can preview the lesson by using these buttons here. Notice it starts with a poll, then a video. In most cases, the videos also have quizzes as part of them. And you can get a preview of each lesson from here in the bottom as well. A preview of the upcoming slides. And let's say that you like this lesson, then you can either teach from here, start teaching directly to a live audience. So you're not really adding this lesson to your library, you're just using a lesson that exists out there. Or you can add it to your lesson and then further edit it and modify it to what you want to do with it. Now, once you add it to your library, you can either edit it from here, or you can go back to your account, and from here we can click on Edit. So now that you're in edit mode for this particular lesson, you can either throw away particular slides or components or move those components around in the lesson. And it's very similar to like using PowerPoint in your PC. Also, you can add additional components, and we'll get into those shortly. So you can click here on Add New, and from here you can add slides, audios, video instruction, interactive activities, quizzes and games, discussions, and so on. And there are directions for each one of those here on the right-hand side, and I'll be getting into those later in this tutorial. When you're done, you press Save and Exit, and it'll take you back to your library. Now let's say that we are ready to present this lesson at this point to the students. To present it, we come to our library, to our My Lessons, and navigate over this particular lesson, and then press Teach. Click on Teach. You can utilize a lesson to teach two different ways. If you have the students in front of you or you're using Zoom, you use option 1 here, live participation. If you want students to complete this assignment on their own, then you select the second option, student-paced. So in the first option, this will be the most common one that you'll be utilizing. The first thing that you'll see is the code that the students need to have in order to join this lesson from their devices. And if you're planning to use Zoom, you enable this option here on the bottom right, and it will create a Zoom meeting as part of this instruction instance. Now, from this code, you can copy it and text it or send it however you'd send communication to your students, or you can copy the link and email it to the students, or send them an email. It will open the email application, or use Google Classroom, and so on, these other options here. Once you have the code, and now we are ready to start presenting this lesson. Now for students, they'll see something similar to this. So they'll go to nearpod.com, either via a link or by knowing to go to Nearpod and then adding their code to join it. From here, they'll be able to type their name, and then they'll click on Join Lesson. Here on the left-hand side, I have the student view. On my right-hand side, I have the instructor view. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to advance the slides, and the students on the left, they see the same content. As the students respond, so you as an instructor can have here on the top right, notice there are these options on the top right as a student view, what the students see, or the teacher view. So in the teacher view, notice that one student responded, and once they submit the answer, you as the instructor will also be able to see what option each student selected. Now, one of the nice things is that you can share these responses as well to the students, and they will be able to see a report so as to what the results were from all the students in the course. So you get the idea how this will play out. Now, as far as the instructor tools, as you're presenting the lesson, notice that you have a preview of the slides here on the bottom left that you can press. It'll give you a preview of what's coming up. You can add an activity on the fly here. So let's say at this point, I want the students to draw something, or I want the students to post a true and false question or an open-ended question and so on. You select the right answer, press share, and now the students will be presented with a brand new question, even though it was not part of the lesson. So you're engaging midstream through that lesson with the students. So then you close the activity, but the lesson is still continuing at this point, and now we proceed to the next slide. When you're playing videos, you can enable it so that the teacher plays the video and all the students will be at the same pace, or the students can play this at their own pace. They will watch the video, answer the questions along the video, and proceed from there. So you're giving them the flexibility. So in my case, I'm going to press teacher plays, and then you'll be able to play the video. Next, we go to the next component. So basically, you have the left and right arrows to advance the slides. You also have in the bottom here, next to add an activity, you have the option for a whiteboard. So let's say you want to, all of a sudden you need to draw something, and you basically just start drawing. Once you're done with the whiteboard, then you can close it and come back to the lesson that you're utilizing. You can see a list of all the participants from the button here on the right-hand side. On the top here, as you're presenting your lesson, notice that you have the code. So if a student somehow you need the code to send to someone, or the students will be able to see it from the projection unit that you may be using. So you proceed like this all through the lesson until it reaches the end. Remember again that you can use a teacher view or the student view for this particular lesson. Now on the top left, you also have this menu where you can add an activity on the fly or end the lesson. This is the most common one that you're going to utilize. You also have this option for emailing the report. To end this lesson, we click here on the menu on the top left and then click on End Lesson. So I went a little bit too quick here, but the idea for that was to simply highlight the key navigational tools during the instruction time as you're delivering that particular lesson. Next in this tutorial, we're going to learn how to view the reports, the results. As you are going through the lesson, as we saw earlier, you can see the results aggregated, and you can share those results with other students during the delivery of the lesson. But then once the lesson is over, you can go here to Reports, and under Reports, you'll select the lesson, and it will give you the instance when this lesson was delivered. So you'll click on that particular instance, and from here, it'll list the student names and their scores. You can click on the student's name and view a detailed report as to what that student completed and what they selected for that particular lesson as they went through it. You can also go and generate reports based on the activity type. So let's say you want to see all the quiz questions, what the results were, and how the... Now on the top, you also have the option to download the entire lesson report. You also have the option to email those reports So now that we know how to reuse an existing lesson from the Nearpod library and customize it and teach it, now let's learn how to create a new Nearpod lesson. Once we are on the main page in Nearpod, we can click on Create, and lesson includes a variety of multimedia, whether it's video, pictures, audio, and so on. A video is basically you pick the video and then you put in built-in questions. Now the video component is also part of a lesson. Or you can simply create an activity like a quiz. So we click on Lesson, and then we begin crafting our lesson. So we are going to go for mixed content, so a variety of content and activities. So we select this first option. Now from here, notice that you can create slides, you can create slideshows, and then interactive components such as video with quizzes or without quizzes, web content, BBC videos, Nearpod 3D simulations, virtual reality field trips, games and quizzes, and then discussions and polls. So let's say we want to start this first lesson with a poll as part of that active learning approach. We want to probe our audience whether they are aware of AI in general. So we simply type the question and then the options. Now remember, this is a poll, and you can also add a timer if you would prefer to say that the students will have 1 minute to respond to this particular question. So we added the first thing here, the poll. Now notice that we did not add a title yet for this lesson. So if we wanted to add a title slide, we click here on Add a Quick Slide. And then we can pick from any of these designs, and this is very similar to PowerPoint. So we select one of those slides, and now that the system is seeing that it's a second slide, it's giving us the option for bulleted lists. However, we want to make this a first slide, and we want to make this a title slide. So we will say, you can change the layout from here, and now let's say we want to move this to the first slide, so we simply drag it up. If you want to change the background and the design, you can still select other options from here. Now we took a poll. We want to also potentially probe the students as to what they have heard. We click on Add New again, and then we scroll down, and we want to put in an open-ended question. Click on Add. So you post a question. You can format this question however you prefer using the tools from here. Again, you can add a timer where the students would have 2 or 3 minutes to complete it. You can add images if you'd prefer. You can also allow students to add audio recordings as part of their feedback or as part of their response for this question. Now next, let's say we wanted to add the slides. You can create the slides from scratch and add by clicking here on Add New Slide, or you can upload slides from a PowerPoint, from an existing PowerPoint. With a paid version, you can also use Google Slides as part of your lesson in Nearpod. You can upload PDF files. Now we want to add some content. So let's say first we want to add a bunch of slides that the students can scroll. So this would be basically either pictures that we can upload either from Google Drive, Dropbox, or other cloud solutions, or upload them directly from our computer. Now I downloaded a couple of those, and now they have been added as part of this lesson. Now next, let's say that I wanted to upload a bunch of lectures. I could upload slides from a PowerPoint that I currently have in my computer that I have utilized in other ways, or via a PDF, and simply select the PDF option, or upload your own slides. Now here, you can also add what's called the sway. Sway is basically a nice presentation using Microsoft Sway, but it's limited in the options or the selection of them. So unless you created them yourself, there's a limited number of them that you can reuse. But here's how they kind of work is you click here on add. You can just go, let's say we want to learn about, of course this doesn't go with what we are talking about, AI here, but let's say the Colosseum. Click on it, and it's basically going to give us this set of information about that particular landmark, in this case, the Colosseum. Now, if you don't want one of those components as part of your lesson, you can click on the three dots and then click on delete. So next here, let's say we wanted to add the rest of the slides or information about students or what students will learn about AI. Now, if I had my slides in PowerPoint, I would select the Upload Slides option here, and it's simply a matter of either using Google Drive or Dropbox or uploading them directly from the computer, and then the system will convert them. Or, in my case, I have those slides as a PDF, and I'll simply upload them. I'll go under Open, and it'll add those particular slides as part of this lesson. And these are the actual slides that I just uploaded. Now next, let's say we wanted to add another component here, such as a video. Let's say we want to present a video on AI. Select the standards if you want here on the top left, so the grade level, and then on the right-hand side, this is the video library. So we are selecting from the video library from Nearpod. So we pick what may work for what we need. Those videos that you select from the Nearpod library, a lot of them will also have built-in questions as part of the video. Wherever you see these dots, that also contains the questions. Now, if you want to edit these questions, you simply can click on Edit and modify them as you prefer. You can also add video from YouTube, or you can upload a video. So on YouTube here, we just simply search for one of the videos and then click the video and then press Save. And it'll add it as part of your lesson without you having to go and navigate to YouTube during your instruction time. Now, whenever you're using a video from YouTube, keep in mind that it's not going to have the quizzes already built in. However, you can go at any point in the video and add an activity, whether it's an open-ended question or a multiple-choice question related to the content that is being presented up to that point in the video. Next, here you can add a web resource. So web content to take the students to learn more about AI. For example, in this case, so you want them to go to, let's say we go to an article. You find the URL, you enter the URL as part of the web content, and then you can test the link if you'd prefer. As you're creating the lesson, there are also BBC videos that you can utilize for science and social studies. It's just a matter of clicking on Add and then selecting the particular type of video from here, whether it's science, information technology, and so on. So you pick what you want and it will add it to your lesson. Next, let's say at this point we want to add a fill in the blanks. Click here on Fill in the blanks, and it's easier than any of the other technologies that I have seen for many years in education. So if you click here on Fill in the blank and click on Add, you simply start typing a bunch of text. So basically make a bunch of statements, and we are typing the text initially, then we click here on Next, and then we select the words that we want the students to pick and match. That is all set. So if we wanted to preview how it's going to look for the fill in the blanks, we click on Preview Lesson, And now the students will see these blank spots here as part of fill in the blanks, and then they are going to simply drag them. And you can scramble these obviously in the configuration and then press done. Our Nearpod 3D, these are three-dimensional objects that the students can rotate. There are only certain ones that are available at this point, but it's worth keeping in mind that more will most likely be added. As you are building your lesson, you can also add science simulations. So here, as we are building the lesson, so we started with open-ended questions, a bunch of slides, a couple of videos with one of the videos had questions along the way, then a website, then 3D images, and so on. Now let's say we want to add a quiz. To add a quiz, we simply navigate to the quiz component, click on add, and then type the questions. To add more options, we simply add new answer. You can put in a timer if you prefer. You can add images, specify which one is the correct answer, and then you add additional questions. So that's adding questions. Then we scroll down. We want to add an open-ended question. Type the question, put a timer, allow students to record audio and add images and so on if preferred, and that is your open-ended question. Next here, just for the sake of demonstrating, you can also add a board discussion. This will enable students to share their thoughts, and they can provide those thoughts via images, by typing, by using video or microphone, and so on. The VR field trips, we'll click just for the sake of demonstrating it. Let's say, locate what they should view as part of the VR, and the students will participate here in this particular field trip. There are also other tools here, such as the memory test, which is a matching game. So the memory test, you can have a bunch of rows and columns and you're matching the objects. Very similar to this simulation on the right-hand side. The students keep on clicking until they get them right to match, for example, the carrot with the carrot and the apple with the apple and so on. Time to climb, it's a type of activity where the students are taking part in a quiz, but they climb up higher as they are doing better in the scores. You pick one of those, a pre-made quiz that we can simply add. It's a time to climb. So basically the students are going to answer all of these particular questions, and as they do better, it's going to move them higher. The simulations, they can interact with math, and obviously this doesn't have anything to do with AI in this case, but you select what you want, and then you choose the type of mass or forces on the object or the level and so on, and then the students will be able to balance particular objects via an interactive simulation. So once you're done with a lesson, then you typically press save and exit. Now we can go back, and here is the lesson that I created. And now that the lesson has been saved, we can click here on teach and then start teaching this lesson to our students, just like I showed you in the previous segments. So that's how Nearpod works. It is an outstanding tool in education. It has a wonderful library of pre-created lessons that you can download and customize and make them your own. And you can create a variety of instructional material as part of your lessons to be effective in your teaching. As I finalize this tutorial, notice that on the very top you have also the options to create a lesson, which is the same as this one over here in the middle, and also the option to quick launch open question or a discussion collaborative board, or just simply have a timer for your students. So I hope that you have found this tutorial helpful, and if you have any feedback, please feel free to reach out to me or post in the comments below. Thank you.